Hi, hello, you're welcome to this coding challenge session. In this coding challenge session, we'll be looking at a certain coding challenge titled multiples of 3 or 5. So I'm walking you through the solutions to this challenge, and here is a question. If we list all the natural numbers below 10 that are multiples of 3 or 5, get 3, 5, 6, and 9. The sum of these multiples is 23. Finish the solution so that it returns the sum of the multiples of 3 or 5 below the number passed in. Additionally, if the number is negative, return 0 for languages that do have them. Note, if the number is a multiple of both 3 and 5, only count it once. Okay, so I'm walking you through this and I'll do my best to explain as I go on with the solution. So from what I see here, we are passing in an input, which is a number, and I'm expected to find numbers within 0 to that number that are multiples of 3 or 5. Great. Now, I'm also expected to get these multiples of 3 or 5 and sum them. I'm returning the sum still as a number as my answer or result. Then, here, there are some edge cases. The first edge case that I see here is that in the case where a negative number is passed in, that is the number, that is this number, it could be 10. But in a case where we are having minus 10, it is expected that we return 0 instead. And another edge case here that I should take into consideration is that if a number is a multiple of 3 and also a multiple of 5, I should count it once. So for example, if I'm going through number 0 to 20 and I get to 15, which is also a multiple of 3 and 5, rather than saying getting all the multiples of 3 and then come again get some multiples of 5, if I should do something like that, I'm going to have 15, 15. So rather than having 15 and 15, that is 15 duplicated, I should choose 15 once. And that is what this line means. Okay, so now the first thing that I know to do, or I think I should do, is to get the multiples of 3 and 5 first of the number that is this case that we were given, 10. So if I can get the multiple of 10, then I should go from there to meet these edge cases and also carry out my test. So let's go on. I would head over to CodePen. I'm very comfortable using CodePen because it allows me to console log. There are some other IDEs that allow that, but I'm most comfortable with CodePen. So this is the function. I took it out of code wall here. Yeah, I forgot to do that in the start. This coding challenge question is from Code Wars. So I give credits because I'm taking it from their website, Code Wars, codewars.com. All right, so I got the function here from the solution panel and I pasted it here. And I have to call this function, right? I'm passing my own input and I'm passing in 10, so I'm working around 10. Now, from their own example, there are multiples of 3 or 5 they have below 10. See the numbers, if we list all the natural numbers below 10 that are multiples of 3 or 5, we get 3, 5, 6, and 9. 3, 5, 6, and 9. Okay, so all right, so let me attempt to get these same numbers. In order to do that, I'm going to use a for loop. A for loop. And I'm going to stop below the number. So rather than saying I less than equals number, I'm just going to say less than number because when I include equals, it means I'm including number. So if you're new to these things, I recommend that you study, do a quick study on for loops Perhaps in some other time, I'll take my time to explain it. The reason why we have these things, but this is where we're starting at number 0 to just below number, and every time we are looping, I'm going to the next number. That is, I'm incrementing I. So it's going to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are not including 10. So for looplet I, where I'm starting at 0, we're going to stop here and we keep incrementing. I hope that makes some sense. All right, so while looping these, looping through to 10, I'm trying to get the array from, no, sorry, I'm trying to get the multiple of 3 or 5. And what I want to do is store what I get in an array. So I'm going to say let R equals an empty array. So I can store the multiples of 3 or 5 that I'm getting. So now here's the condition. So when I is 0, what will I do? I'm going to test. Right. So, okay. So, well, 0 would never mean anything, right? Like 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 3 is 3. So I'm going to start from 1. I equals 1. So assuming on my first loop where I is 1, if I is, okay, let me try and make it a lot more descriptive. So I'll say let's more 3, that means multiple of 3 equals, how do you get multiples of 3? Multiples of 3 are numbers when divided by 3 would give no remainder. So I would just say I modulo 3, right? And so that would test for multiples of 3. And for multiples of 5, I would just say I please, not 1. I modulo 5. That should test if that number is a multiple of 5. So whatever it is, really, I modulo 3, well, 2 modulo whatever, but you see what I'm going to do now? I'm going to check, right? If mol 3 is equals 0, that is I we passed in here. We're going to have I modulo 3 and have the same I modulo 5. So it's going to hold different answers on modulo 3 and modulo 5, right? There's a multiple of 3 and multiple of 5. In this case, in this first loop, if mol 3 is equal to 0, that means it is a multiple of 3. If mod 5 is equal to 0, that is mod 5. It means it's a multiple of 5. So, but if neither of them is equal to 0, then nothing happens. Those are not numbers you're looking for. Remember, I'm searching for multiples of 3 and or 5. Not and. Because if it's and or 5. Multiples of 3 and 5 means it has to be a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 5 at the same time. So multiple of 3 or 5. So I'm going to say or if mod 5 equals 0. So if it is a multiple of 3 or a multiple of 5, well, what am I going to do? I will push r dot push I. So I'm going to pause at this point and I will print out r so I can test if the multiples of 3 or 5 that I have been able to push into R corresponds with the ones that they got or were given in the example. Okay. So I'm going to console log R, then run my code. So here's our answer. Here's my answer in the console. So these are the numbers that have been pushed into the array. The same with what we have here, 3, 5, 6, 9. So it's same. So the next thing we should do, what I'm going to do now is get the sum. So how can I get a sum? Well, one of the methods with which I can get the sum of the array that we have now, I console log array, and you can see the contents of the array are currently. Now, one way to do that is to use a for loop again, right? And then add the previous, add the current plus the previous plus the current would work fine. But I'm going to use the reduce method. So with the reduce method, it makes it a lot gives me more like it reduces the lines of the extra lines of code that I would be using or adding to the solution. Right, so I'm just going to use reduce. The reduce function just helps you do computations like that, where you want to add what you have currently to the one you have to the one you had previously, and add the ones you have now currently to the one you had previously. Just keep adding, and like that, right? Or you add what you have now to the one forward to the next one. You add to the next one. You add to the next one. So that's how it works. But that's what reduce does. So it works with arrays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable that would hold the sum after working with the reduce function. Oh, this is reduce function. This is array.reduce. So what reduce does is it's going to take an accumulator. An accumulator, I'm going to write it in full for people who are new. It's like the current total. And at the moment, the current total is 0. Right? Yes, the accumulator exists and it is also included in the reduce method. So we have accumulator and then the current value. So I'm going to call it current and then an arrow function. I will do what sum the accumulator. So I'm just going to shorten this please to ACC. All right. So you already get it. Accumulator plus current value. Right? Accumulator plus current value. There is a comma. So now let me explain. Use function takes in a method and the accumulator starting the start value of the accumulator, the initial value of the accumulator. The initial value for accumulator could be 10. So it's going to be 10 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 9. It will be 5. Now it's 0. So it's going to be 0 plus 3, 0 plus 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 9. Right? So the initial value of accumulator is the total, the current total that is what you have now that you're going to add to what you have next, right? Okay. So now it looks a little confusing if you're not used to this because of the comma here. So what if you had something like this? So you know that it takes a function and then just a number there that is the accumulator. So just remember how functions are written in full. So where this is these are the parameters and this is the curly bracket, this is the function, then a comma and accumulator, your start value. So that's what you actually have there. So I'm just going to return that to the arrow function. All right, so this is how it's written, but I did that to make you understand that this arrow function is a function, right? So if you're very used to the conventional writing of function, then this I put that there so you have a better picture of what's happening here. So that's it. What will happen is that it's just going to have this as the accumulator plus current, and whatever accumulator plus current, whatever it gets, is going to be what the new accumulator will be. Pass again, right? The current is going to be the next value, and then what the accumulator was that is at that time. The addition will take place, and then the accumulator will be updated again, and like that. So if the accumulator was 0, and the next number is 3, here we're going to have 3 plus 0 is 3. Accumulator has changed to 3. Accumulator will be passed in again 3. The next one is 5. So here we have 3 plus 5. That's 8. So accumulator has been updated to 8. It comes again 8 plus 6, right? And whatever the sum is going to be the new total here. And when it's done with all the numbers inside the array, the final answer, which would be present as the accumulator, will be returned as the value for sum. Okay, so that's it. And now we have the sum. I can just console log sum. All right, so that gives me gives us 23. That's same with what I have here, 23. Yes, that's it. I have 23 there. Now, I remember that there are some edge cases that I need to also satisfy. The first one is if the number is a negative number. So if the number is a negative number and I'm just meant to return 0, it means all this set of code shouldn't run if it is a negative number. In other words, I'm just going to test first if number is less than 0. If number is less than 0, I'll return 0. So if it's not, then this will run. Now you might be wondering, like I said, if you're new, I need to put in consideration people who are new to these things, new to JavaScript. Yeah. Now if you're totally new and if you're already good with these things and you're just watching it for fun to enjoy yourself or to support me, I appreciate you so much. But if you are new to these things, you're welcome. But I need to let you know that I did not include an else statement here because the return here would automatically close up this function, stop it from running. It's never going to come get to this point. What the return does is just terminates the whole thing and return the value that needs to be returned. So there is no need to have else there. I would have had else in the picture. If I'm saying if the number is greater than 0, then I'll run this code. I might not still need else because I would still return eventually. Remember, I'm here to only console log. In the real right in this platform, or in this platform, I will be returning instead of console logging. So that is settled already. Then the other one, the other edge case is says that should something if it's a multiple of both 3 and 5, it should take into account ones. So I would like to test that out by using 20. And I'm going to pass in 20 because I know at 15, like I'm going to have three. I'm going to have it as a multiple of 3 and also a multiple of 5. So at 15, right? So what instead of console logging sum, I'm going to console log R to see if it's counting twice. Now I can just run the code to check. Yeah. So this is what I got 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12, 15, 18. So I did not have 15 printed twice. I had it printed just once. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so it means that edge case is met. And you might be wondering how. Because I used or. I used or. So when it's 15, this will be 0 and this will be 0. So well, that makes it. So I'm testing at the same time. If I had come to say if all equals this, and I come again at the bottom and say if more 3 equals 0, then I come again and say if more 5 equals 0. That is, if more 3 equals 0, I push. I have another else if statement or if statement beneath it and still come again to write on that next line and say if more 5 equals 0, push I. So that means I'm going to push 15 at this case and also push 15 at this case. So I'm not supposed to test this first and push and then test this and push. I just test both of them. Except I'm using an else if. I think an else if will solve the issue, right? So it means if this is true, that's it. Else if doesn't have to necessarily run. Well, this just works it out for me because I check at the same time and I'm using or. And if both of them are true, fine. One of them is true, fine. And I'm pushing just once. I'm not pushing in the case of multiple of 3. And again, push in the case of multiple of 5. I'm pushing just once. So I'm testing if this is true or this is true, and I'm pushing just once. If I ever get it true on both sides or from both of them, I'm pushing just once. So if you're trying to replicate this solution, be very mindful of that. If you're pushing twice for one instance and then for the other instance, then you might have multiple duplicates of the same number. All right, so I'll just copy my solution and paste it in code was. And instead of console login, I would return sum. on some. Okay. Okay, so at this point I can test it out by clicking tests. We have our test passed. We have our test passed, and that means our solution solved the challenge perfectly. All right, so if you have some other ways to get this solved, I welcome your opinions, your method in the comments section. Please let's make the comment section a house of opinions, a powerhouse of different ideas. Please leave them in the comment section. I'll be going through, I'll be getting in touch. If there are methods that are quite strange, I will be reaching out to you so we can collaborate in one of the sessions where you can expatiate on your solution. We're doing this together, and thank you so much. I'll see you in the next challenge.